Oh, okay, Dave, tell me about the feelings that you experimented during the return to work for the Ballad of Darren with Blur after 8 years outside the studios with Blur.
Yeah, it was the tour, the idea of playing Wembley Stadium, which is our London show, had been long under discussion, but had been turned out to be very difficult to arrange. But at the end of last year, we suddenly got a phone call saying, after a string of phone calls saying it probably wasn't going to happen again this year, maybe we'll look at next year. We suddenly got a phone call saying it's happening, and we need to put the tickets on sale tomorrow. And of course, half the band were out of the country, so Alex and I ran around this whistle-stop tour of the radio stations, announced it all, and then it was very difficult to get a bill together and put a tour around that, other festivals and blah, blah, blah. So all of that took a lot of time. So we ended up at the start of the year thinking, well, what are we going to do? We usually do some recording, but actually we don't really have enough time to make an album because, it takes a long time to release a record these days. If you want to release a vinyl record, it's very difficult post-Brexit. So we thought we'll just give it a go anyway. We'll see how far we get. So we launched into it. We got a great producer on board, James Ford, who is incredibly experienced, and we told him we wanted, if possible, to do a whole album, in about 3 months, and he kind of gave us this withering look, as if to say, why have you just told me this now? But anyway, we just got on with it, and Damon had written some great demos, which were a really good starting point, and we all had other things in our lives that we couldn't cancel, so there was a bit of sort of dipping in and out for all of us. But actually, we worked pretty well and pretty quickly. We decided to keep it quite simple, focus on rather than layering on lots of different instruments, sort of focus on what we had to hand in the studio, sort of focus on the musicianship and harmony and melody, and that worked.
This is a work that you do together. This is a work that you do together as in the studio, working as a full band.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we tend to play one instrument at a time rather than play the whole song together as a full band. But it was all worked through from Damon's demos together in the studio as we went.
And what happened with you when you heard that demos? Because hearing the song, the final songs, I just hear the record yesterday, and congratulations for this kind of feelings that you can put in a record. But it's I see some feelings that are repeating in some songs, like in Barbaric or Russian Strings, or or the Narcissist that we heard it. Feelings of lost, of loneliness, or to face the ego. What moment of your life as a band are you to put that emotions in a new album?
Yeah, I think that's definitely kind of what it feels like in the UK at the moment. It's a fairly down time for living here. There are lots of things to be maudlin about. There are lots of a lot of problems. Many of the things that we kind of define ourselves by are crumbling into dust at the moment. Our health service, the kind of crowning achievement of the post-war politics, is in terminal decline. All kinds of things, all kinds of public services have been cut back so far over the years, and now we have a string of corrupt governments that have been looting the money out, looting the tax money and giving it to their millionaire friends. So things are pretty bad here at the moment, and people are feeling pretty down about it. So that's all reflected in the album, I think. I don't want to speak, I don't want to put words in Damon's mouth, so I don't want to say, you know, this song is about this and this song is about that. But that's really the backdrop against which the album was made. And it would have been a lie had we made a happy, fun summer album about how brilliant everything is, because things aren't brilliant at the moment. You know, the pandemic and Brexit and corruption are things that have had a real effect on people's lives. You know, that the government before this one just on a whim just crashed the UK economy. People are still, you know, people's mortgage repayments trebled overnight just for no reason. You know,
Yeah, of
people
course.
who are happily able to afford their lives, you know, suddenly found they had to sell their houses. And you know, it's just the fact that the governments would do that is just astonishing, really. And so all of that, you know, all of that's been going on. It's a very peculiar time to be British. That said, there's still lots to like about living
Yeah,
here.
it's interesting. It's interesting the way that you explain what you put in a record, because I heard you in an interview saying that you turn into the people that you used to write songs about, but hearing you now uh, trying to explain or to put in a record something that you see, I think that you are not the same person. Um, uh, just you are successful, or you were successful, and but you still seeing what the suffering of people, or you are reading the moment of UK. So it's interesting to hear this about to talk about this an artist like you, or like Blur, a band like Blur.
Yeah. I think what I was saying was, you know, in our 20s, there was a bit of, like there is with all 20-year-old people,
Yeah, of
to
course.
some extent, you look around you at the older people and you go, you don't know anything. You know, you know, we wrote these songs like, you know, Park Life,
Yeah.
saying you joggers running around the park, you know nothing. You people living in big country houses, you know, you should, and it ends up, you know, we're all living in the country, you know, we're all going jogging around the park, you know, that's what I mean by we're turning into these people we were used to write songs about. But so I think you've got to be slightly careful who you point your weapons at in your 20s, because really what you're actually pointing is your finger at
Yeah.
yourself in the future. That's what I've learned from all of that.
Uh, I heard the show of the Primavera Sound in Barcelona, and I looked the track list that you play there, and I would like to know if you are celebrating your own story as a band, your whole story in this next shows. Beside the new records, you are celebrating Blur. Is this I'm wrong?
Well, we've tried to. This album fits quite well with the Modern Life is Rubbish songs. That's what we found when we were rehearsing. We haven't done a lot of rehearsing. There wasn't that much time to do rehearsing, so you know we tried to play through all of the songs that it was going to be possible to play live. You know, which is about 50 songs, I suppose, because we didn't want to have orchestras and we didn't want to have brass sections. We didn't want to do all of this. We wanted it as much as possible to be the four of us, you know, with some keyboards and stuff like that. You know, so kind of five of us on stage, really. That was the brief we sort of set ourselves. So we thought, well, with that as a kind of as the kind of founding principle, which songs then are going to work well
Yeah.
like that. And so we ended up with a list of about 50 songs that worked out, you know, when we played through them all. And so from those 50, we've chosen the set list. These are by and large festival shows, so you can't indulge yourself too much. You can't play loads of B-sides. You have to play the songs that people know, because they bought a
Yeah.
ticket to go to the festival. They haven't bought a ticket to go and see Blur necessarily.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a kind of balancing act there. But what we found was the earlier songs from sort of Modern Life is Rubbish worked best with this album. It had the same kind of melancholy, the same kind of feeling of a band discovering themselves. I think rediscovering themselves that we've kind of got on this album. So the set features songs from that era quite heavily, but still, you know, there are songs you can't not play song 2. You have to play song 2 or they won't let you off stage. So you know,
we don't want that. We don't want that.
There's a bunch of songs that you just have to play anyway. So you know, there's a balancing act to be struck, is what I'm trying to say. And the set list is the kind of our best effort at doing that balancing act.
Well, maybe that we can hope to for your shows here in Argentina. The last question is about our country. What do you remember to play here in Argentina? Blur is one of the most wanted, most loved bands here in Argentina from the 90s. So, what do you remember of your first time here, your second time here? It's something special.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved playing in Argentina, but I remember the first time we played, Argentina was an incredibly prosperous country, and I honestly, I nearly bought a flat there. I thought, this is such a wonderful place. I'd love to spend more time here, and I started the process of buying an apartment, but that, for one reason or another, fell through. It turns out that's quite a difficult thing to do, buying an apartment in Argentina. So anyway, I kind of gave up on that. But
you have an apartment here? No,
I nearly did.
Okay.
But then when we came back, kind of like what's happened to Britain, the country had collapsed.
Yeah.
An economic catastrophe had hit. Not the same economic catastrophe as we had, because we did this one to ourselves. This was of our making. Nobody did this to us.
But, we are victims, a little bit victims of another system. But Argentina.
Absolutely. Well, that was the biggest shock, going back and seeing the transformation of the country. You know, I have to say, and I know, and I have Argentinian friends, and I have to say, I really felt kind of very sorry for the country that had happened, and a bit annoyed that could happen to a country. I'd never seen that before, you know.
It's hard. Yeah,
and that was quite a wake up call to me, quite a shock to me. So but I think finally Argentina is getting back on its feet now.
We are trying. We need the Blur party.
Yeah, and that's hopefully we can come along and help that happen. But I always love Argentina. The Argentinian fans are so extraordinary, so warm and so positive and so accommodating. You know, we always have the best time in Argentina. So I'm really excited to come back. And who knows, maybe I will get that flat.
Okay. Yeah. It's a good moment for you to buy an apartment here. So I can friends, I can help you.
All right, let's go
have a business
together.
Let's have a business. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to talk to you. It's incredible. I'm waiting to see Blur here again. Thank you very much, Dave.